Hey, what's up, guys? James here with the subject supposed to speak. It was the morning of the 15th of February 2017. I've just woken up from a very bizarre dream involving an old friend, his wealthy parents, um, me spending time with him at some resort like home that he had, and him giving me candies that were like bilayered medicinal tablets that were half gold, half something else, and were edible, but were also made of 30% gold, if I remember what he said right. And, he kind of passed them out like candy to me and a bunch of other people who were around. He put them all on a plate, and everyone took a few, and I go to him and I motioned to hand him the plate, and he goes, "Are you trying to throw money at a prince?" Which is so funny because he was never that affluent, but it's like, of course, there's all these weird sort of significations to what is apparently nonsense here, and this is a topic that we really haven't covered yet, which is analyzing dreams, right? And so one way of leading into this well is Freud's one-liner about this topic, which is that the dream is the royal road to the unconscious. I think Lacan would disagree. He would probably say something more along the lines of language is the royal road to the unconscious. But Lacan didn't discount the importance and potential fruitfulness of dream analysis, given the notion that I think is constant between Freud and Lacan, which is that dreams are manifestations of the unconscious. Dream elements are ways in which the unconscious, just as in slips of the tongue and these sort of odd bits of broken speech that come forth in the course of analysis, that dreams and the elements of dreams give expression to the unconscious. So what kind of sense can we make then of all the stuff that went down in this dream? Well, another part of it was that he was doing some kind of a survey or a sweep of some region of either Africa or Thailand, and there were like landmines involved. It was a very dangerous business, but there was some resource or another. I don't think that it was gold that they were trying to uncover, and there may have been something there having to do with drugs, which is really strange given how sort of very moralistic background that he and I both sort of grew up in. And then at one point his stepdad motioned to give me some shirts, which he'd done previously for their business as an electrician in real life, maybe over 10 years ago, or longer. But this is a childhood friend of mine who I haven't really kept that much in touch with. But he's married now, and he's like a senior NCO, Navy corpsman. It's like the only friends I talk about on this thing are military friends. It's kind of interesting. But yeah, I guess that's where that whole thing stands. So that dream, this dream fragment that I remember, rather, what does it say? What does it mean? It's really hard for me to say on my own. I mean, I can try and associate around the elements, wealth, good fortune. There's probably a sense in which, I'm sort of envious of my buddy Mike and the fact that his, growth and development has taken a much different course in mind, and not only a different one, but likely a happier one ultimately. You know, that being said, you know, psychology and therapy plays a huge part in his life, given that he's married and has at least one, if not two children, and you know, he's constantly on deployment, and you know, he struggled through a lot of you know, wartime trauma, and you know, what he's told me is that, you know, it's like killing the bad guys, quote unquote, isn't really the part of it that's so bad. It's dealing with the moral fallout of, you know, let's say, you know, his unit used some explosive ordnance to attack a band of insurgents in a village, and a bunch of children die, and you know, the blame falls on them. So that's the kind of thing that he professed was at the root of you know, the wartime trauma that he has had to work through to make things work for his family. His, you know, relatively new. I think they got married maybe 6-7 years ago, if I remember right. But all that having been said, yeah, there's a kind of enviousness there. I remember he was a friend who I'd frequently speak to about, you know, what had gone on with my family and how hard it's been. You know, he'd variously try to dissuade me, you know, your parents are just doing the best they can, this kind of stuff. And he's probably right, but that definitely didn't doesn't change the way it's affected all of us. They're very poor decisions in terms of managing the family, and so I guess that's where that dream stands. I feel like something of a broken record, just sort of repeating myself about all this stuff that I'm still slogging through in terms of my family life, whatever. And trying to think about what I've got going on today. I mean, looking forward, got to go to physical therapy. I'll probably take the dog for a walk. I woke up at a pretty reasonable weight, given that I ate a good deal yesterday, particularly last night. 218, not too bad, given that my goal right now is weight loss. My room is still a bit of a mess. There's a lot of shit that I should still try and clean up. You know, my sister Jennifer is downstairs talking with her visiting teacher from church. It's just is really repugnant to me, but hey, it's, you know, it's a friend for her, so I guess there's something salutary there. Yeah, I also did some tutoring last night, made some reasonable money, hoping to keep that going and probably expand. That's the other thing I should do today, is try and get going with that other tutoring agency. Beyond all that, yeah, I want to go get my breakfast, and got some packages arriving today, various knickknacks, a nice hot water bottle, high capacity, 40 ounces, so I can just quaff massive amounts of medicinal tea tomorrow while I'm at work, back to work for the first time, so I can do my best to help prevent this sinus infection from coming back. Shit. Probably not much else to say for now. Probably go get my breakfast. And I don't know, I feel like I keep ending these things before I really get to the meat of anything. I'm trying to figure out what the meat might be in this instance. My eyes hurt. I'm tired. I'm tired of a lot of things. I'm tired of feeling powerless. I'm tired of being sick. I'm really bummed out that I did get sick and that it's led to me basically falling a month behind in terms of my training for accession to the Army. I'm questioning my commitment to it. I'm questioning whether or not they're even going to give me the waivers. I'm questioning whether or not, my health will be intact enough to really do it. And I'm thinking of the alternative in terms of moving forward with a career of any sort. And that's, trying to stay here at my parents' house and go back to college. Whether the college down the street or, well, it's going to have to start there. I've got prereqs at the very least for whatever path I take, whether it's engineering, whether it's counseling psychology, it doesn't matter. I have at least for counseling psychology, it would just be maybe 1 or 2 more semesters tops before I could apply to an MFT program, or I could also just apply forthwith to an MSW program. But I think if I'm going to pay for another graduate degree, I prefer the MFT to the MSW, because the MSW often entails lots of paperwork, community outreach, advocacy, and less actual counseling, which doesn't appeal to me so much. But obviously if I'm going to go with the Army, I'll pick the MSW because that's the only program they have and it would be free. At least, if I were to be eligible for it. So yeah, the other side of it too is that no matter what road I take, it's going to be hard. I recognize that. And it's just the thought of being here much longer, or the thought of trying to support myself while in school. All that just sounds really, really bad to me. When I could trade some of my life, trade some of my time for the opportunity to have any further education taken care of for free. Not only that, but to be able to actively pay down my debts, my massive student loan debts in the meantime. So, I still think the Army thing, given that they have a loan repayment program that goes up to $65,000, which I'm hoping is going to be available by the time I'm ready to enlist, seems like, it could be, in fact, not only the best in terms of me making a radical change and making a change of scenery and location and trying to do the damn thing on my own, but also just practically, financially, it may be the best choice. There's no way I'm going to get those debts paid off in the next 6 years on my own without working full-time. That's just not going to happen. And in terms of a full-time job that I could get right now that I could stand, it's probably slim pickings. So it's the other thing. I also applied for a non-certified social worker position. It's like a $20 an hour deal yesterday. We'll see how that goes. This is more sort of planning and thinking and ruminating on things I've already thought about a lot than it is digging. And the idea is you dig and you get to experiences that haven't been verbalized yet, and just speaking those is sufficient to sort of help assuage your symptoms. And, you know, I can only imagine that this procedure would be a lot more effective if A, I was speaking to a real person, and B, I was in an environment where these kinds of lingering traumas and difficulties didn't just keep coming up and repeating themselves. But, you know, it's right now for me, it's either this or essentially homelessness. So what choices do I have? So yeah, I don't know. I remember fighting with my younger brother some months back. You know, I'm just telling him and my dad, it's like, what were any of them expecting? What should anybody be expecting, given how they fought so hard, especially my dad and my mom, to make sure that, you know, our childhoods repeated itself. Once the lot of us who are trying to move forward with our lives, the only one who's not being my older brother, I'd say, found ourselves back here in our early 20s. You know, for me it was like right after college, trying to get a footing, and you know, my older brother was back, and you know, he was permitted to do all the same crazy, abusive, gnarly shit that he was earlier. And it's like everyone and everything just turns a blind eye to it. You know, if the police ever got involved, you know, over him, you know, literally stalking me around the house, or harassing me, abusing me, mistreating me in whatever other way, threatening me verbally. I mean, they don't even permit this in you know, military basic training. You know, you will not, you know, attack somebody. You won't verbally threaten anybody. It's not permissible, even in that environment. And you know, but it's like the cops come to our door, and you know, when there's some kind of incident, this happens so many times, it's ridiculous, and they'll basically say, yeah, well, it's your parents' house, it's your father's house, so you have to follow his rules. And that's not true, right? It's not true at all. And it's such a shame, because you know, when an individual is persecuting, stalking, harassing, threatening another individual, that's against the law, and it's a violation of it. And so many of those men just essentially refused to do their jobs, and refused to protect a lot of us from this madness, this plague of madness. And you know, that kind of disruption of this insanity would have been the most salutary thing. And when it did happen, it helped everyone and everything. You know, when my brother attacked my father on our front lawn, I intervened, and the police came and sort of tried to break and broke the thing up and kicked my brother out when my father was too weak-willed to. That helped the entire situation. And it's just this profound injustice that's just, it's sort of mangled everybody in so many ways. Everyone's just kind of stuck in place and making progress forward by inches. My parents just don't care. They don't see it as being wrong. They don't see it as being harmful. I'm the namby-pamby in the entire situation. So yeah, I guess that's part of the reason I'm so discouraged about falling behind on my training, because I was so eager to be gone. And it just seems like anything would be better at this point than this. Almost anything. Even if it is taking a role that's just in so many ways beneath my abilities, and you know, not very remunerative, and you know, where there's going to be long hours and there's going to be a lot of strain and struggle. But it's going to be better than this. I know that. And it, really breaks my heart that I'm going to have to try and start over new somewhere. Leave my friends behind and what few remaining of my family members that I care to have much to do with. But this is just the necessity of things. And basically I hope I get the opportunity to do it, to just hand my life over to something that promises to order it and to protect it. And, this sort of setback is just pissing me off in a major way. Getting sick, straining my hamstrings. I could have avoided getting sick. I was stupid. I made an error in judgment. I went for a walk the day I fell sick in the cold air, having eaten little by way of breakfast, and I met up with a neighbor basically who's unemployed and kind of living on, I don't know if it's disability or what, but his life kind of sucks too. And we walked and I kind of humored him and we spent some time, but it was foolhardy because I should have, first of all, eaten breakfast. Second of all, probably not be walking around in the cold air like that, especially on an empty stomach, because that's just a recipe for suppressed immunity. And I should have been focused on what I needed to do for myself that day. It was one of 2 days off that I get now. I wasn't able to sort of make the judgments I needed to. I also went to the gym subsequent to that on basically an empty stomach still. Worked out. Really messed up my immune system. Just, made myself vulnerable to this virus. So this is what I get to deal with for now. As it fades here. I guess I should be happy to get back to work tomorrow, and part of me is, just because I know it's going to be a more productive way to spend my time than I more or less have been, and it'll help me to sort of stabilize a little more. But yeah, this is where it all stands. I wish there was some other course I could take. I wish things didn't have to be so hard. But this is life. And this is my life. And this is what I get to deal with. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there. Go get my breakfast. And talk to you guys later.